The second thing you notice about Bertil Fox is his unflagging reluctance to talk about matters relating to his anatomical dimensions. Word is that his upper arms can stretch the tape measure to an incredible 22 inches, and while I doubt anyone will ever get the opportunity to test the validity of that rumor, it is quite obvious that Bertil's arms, the first thing you notice, are at least as large as your average weekend jogger's thighs. They are the most unforgettable feature of his physique that has become particularly famous for the harmonious blending of its mammoth parts. The body part you remember long after your initial encounter with the Fox. They demand special attention even when hidden beneath the leather jacket that was tailored specifically to hide them. Face it, when you've acquired arms like Bertil's, you'd better be prepared for life in the goldfish bowl. The trouble is, Bertil has never learned to cope with his peculiar predicament. He has tried disguising his form in baggy shirts, but they just magnify the gargantuan proportions. And a leather jacket gets low marks in Southern California most of the year weather-wise. You there, with the 12-inch pipe stems, you don't know how lucky you are not to have arms like Bertil's, right? Bertil has tried living as Howard Hughes, like a recluse. Unfortunately, his apartment, comfortable as it undoubtedly is, does not feature the kind of equipment that Bertil must use in his day-to-day bodybuilding life. Twice a day, he must sneak out to Don Peters Fitness Center in Reseda. En route to his car, he must pass the communal swimming pool and the gorgeous ladies who insist on stopping him to admire his form, much to our man's chagrin. Sometimes a male show-off will engage him in esoteric conversation about some bodybuilding event, and suddenly the rap will turn towards Bertil's own set of muscular equipment to his intense embarrassment. It's tough being the best in the world, so lately Bertil has discovered another route to his car where no one is looking. He'll crawl out through his bedroom window, which overlooks the carport. It's not exactly the most dignified way out, but at least it allows him to get to the gym without being waylaid by these wonder women at the pool. So how does a writer get the Fox to talk about his training procedures? How does one get him to divulge the secrets behind his mountainous arms? Well, if you are as resourceful as someone I could mention, you become a full-fledged member of the Don Peters Fitness Center, and you study Bertil for days. Serendipitously, of course. If you are sufficiently convincing, you'll probably discover before too long that Bertil is not at all that adverse to talking per se. That is talking about himself that drives him bonkers. And if you are particularly blessed with perspicacity, enough to be a star writer at Weeder, let us say, then doubtless you'll discover that Bertil's favorite topic is 60s bodybuilding. Which of course is just another way of saying Larry Scott. For the Fox cut his bodybuilding teeth devouring everything written about Scott. Thanks to Larry, Bertil learned early that well-built calves were a vital part of the competitive bodybuilding armory. Early in his career, Bertil decided against the theory that black bodybuilders were genetically limited in certain body parts, and thanks to the gospel according to Larry Scott, Bertil never favored one muscle over another. Every section of his physique has received its full quota of torture. But there is no denying the fact that in the 60s, Larry Scott's biceps were the most discussed phenomena in bodybuilding. True, you admired his massive thighs, the beautiful sweep of the calves, and the poses that were Scott's alone, but you could barely take your eyes off the Scott's biceps. They were nothing at all like any you'd seen before. Scott's biceps were a wonder to behold, unique, incredibly thick, well-defined. They extended all the way from the shoulder to the elbow joint. Under tension, they rose high above the humerus, but not like an upended egg. No, Scott's biceps curved gradually to form a magnificent mound. If one has difficulty describing the muscle adequately, perhaps that's because it was finally ineffable. You had to see it to believe it. And that Bertil did in 1966 when Scott made his first trip to London. It seemed half the city turned out to see bodybuilding's golden boy that day, and Bertil came away more than ever determined to own a set of Scott's model biceps. There is no doubt that he succeeded. Look at his pictures. How did Bertil do it? Well, there was that little matter of the right genes, true enough, but his training procedure played the important role. He trains his upper arms 3 times a week. The actual exercises hardly vary, although he tends to train faster in the last few weeks before a contest. He believes in heavy weights. Like Scott, he will not waste his energy on what he considers pansy dumbbells. Ordinarily, Bertil trains his upper arms immediately after completing his deltoid workout. Before a contest, however, when he is training twice daily using the Weider double split principle, he devotes a whole session to his biceps and triceps. Once in a while, for the sake of variety, he will do supersets, but he prefers to complete 6 sets of each exercise before moving on to the next. Bertil's favorite barbell exercise for his biceps is done with a cambered bar. Occasionally, however, he uses a regular straight bar for the movement. His training style, as he does the regular barbell cheat curl with cambered or straight bar, is best described as loose. The weight is swung to the shoulders, but that does not mean Bertil resorts to a kind of reverse clean to get the weight to his shoulders. By the time he had developed such control that even though he seems to be swinging the weight upward, the biceps are fully engaged in the action. The weight is lowered as slowly as possible when you're working with a barbell that weighs more than 200 pounds. As with all other bicep exercises, Bertil does 6 sets and 6 to 8 reps. He does not rush his sets. He takes as much rest as his instincts dictate. If he's feeling particularly peppy during a workout, then he'll take hardly any rest between sets. If not, he'll take his time. His second bicep exercise is the 2-arm dumbbell curl while seated on an inclined bench. He starts with 70-pound dumbbells and works up to a pair of 100-pounders. Here he depends on his training partner to get the weight to his shoulders, and also in his deliberate lowering of the dumbbells. His concentration is particularly intense during the second phase of the exercise. Each succeeding set, he increases the weight. Compared with the weights used earlier, the poundage for Bertil's concentration curl is light. In fact, he uses a dumbbell weighing 50 to 60 pounds. He does the concentration curl from either a seated position or standing with his free hand supported on the exercise bench. Whichever style he uses, he makes a point of curling the weight slowly to his shoulders, then lowering it in a very controlled manner. He says he never thinks about the weight when he's performing the bent-over concentration curl. He concerns himself strictly with the action of the bicep throughout the movement. Here's how he puts it. I grab the weight, and then, even before I start the curl, I flex my biceps hard. Now I curl the weight slowly, never once relaxing the tension. I maintain the contraction as I slowly lower the weight to the starting position. It is little wonder that at the end of 8 repetitions, Bertil grimaces at the message from his biceps. The bent-over concentration curl with the dumbbell is, by Bertil's account, the movement most responsible for the split ball effect of his biceps. Next comes the preacher curl, which Bertil calls the Scott curl. Here he makes a point of allowing his elbows to extend about an inch past the bottom of the preacher board. From there, he violently pulls up the bar to his shoulders, stops without relaxing his biceps, then slowly lowers to starting position. Here he relaxes completely before doing the next repetition. As noted, each exercise is done for 6 to 8 reps in sets of 6. The 1-arm cable curl is fast challenging the barbell curl for the special spot in Bertil's heart. It's a movement that Bertil picked up from Joe Weider, and it has done wonders for Bertil's biceps. The movement is similar to the dumbbell bent-over curl, except for 2 points. 1, it's performed while standing, and 2, as Bertil curls the weight, he gradually twists his wrist outward, thereby placing extreme stress on the outer heads of the biceps. His wrist is kept straight as he lowers the weight. Here again, Bertil trains with maximum poundage, as much as he can manage, and the movement is fairly strict. For those who wish to know, Bertil always trains his biceps and triceps during the same session. He starts with the triceps and finishes off with the routine featured here. When he trains arms and shoulders in the same session, shoulders come first, then triceps, followed by biceps. Beginners hardly need be reminded that Bertil's workout is not designed for them. He recommends just 2 each for biceps and tricep exercises, 3 sets each movement for newcomers. It's worth mentioning, Hear that Bertil was himself amazed at the improvement in his arms after only a few weeks under Joe Weider's direction. Thanks to the Master Blaster, he now has a better understanding of the Weider system, which produced Scott and the other champions Bertil admired in the 60s. More than ever, he has learned to trust his instincts, and he has become particularly discriminating in his choice of exercises. In the months ahead, we will learn more about Bertil's training procedures and the impact Joe Weider has had on him. Stay tuned.